Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And thank you so much for joining us today as we discuss the PCA annual weights for 2025 featuring Mikael Hingant and Stephen Boehme. Um, a little bit about a little about today. The people we have behind the scenes here, we have PCA staff, Diane Warning, who's our secretary, Peggy Winkler, who is our secretary to membership, and Gulsari Birkit, who is she helps out with social media, and she's going to also be helping today as a translator for French. Also, we have featured a couple rock star artists. We have Stephen Boehme from Utah and Mikael Hingant from the island of Reunion. A little bit about the PCA. So the PCA is an organization that's been around since 1953, founded by our founding president, Paul Jokelson. Our core mission is to support artists and to educate members and the general public about the history and the origin of paperweights, and also to promote the research of paperweights and their origin and culture. On the right here, we have a photo from the last paperweight convention. These are just a few of the artists that we have in the shop. We have Clinton Smith, Stephen Boehme at the top, Stephen Boehme, David Graeber, William Manson, Gordon Smith. This is William Manson's mother, Joyce, Alison Russa, Chris Sherwin, and then Damon McNaught, and they were all demo artists at that event. But let's go ahead and get into these paperweights. The annual paperweight you might be asking is like, what is the annual paperweight? So for some years prior to 2023, we used to have a biannual paperweight that coincided with our biannual convention. These conventions took place, they still take place every other year throughout the country, and we invite speakers and artists to come lecture and demo, and it's just an opportunity for us to get together as an organization and as a community to discuss our love and passion for paperweights. And as part of a celebration and to commemorate those events, we would have a commemorative paperweight that would come out every 2 years. In 2023, we decided to kind of morph this idea and this program and to make it an annual event so that now we are able to select an artist or a pair of artists every year and create an annual weight every year and make it available to our members. Um, the the core purpose of this really is to kind of support the community, showcase our artists, and to collaborate with them as well. As an artist member of the PCA, you're each artist member of the PCA is permitted to submit a proposal for that annual paperweight, and from that pool of submissions, the board of directors makes a selection, usually one or two paperweights from that selection. And this year, we've selected the two artists we feature in here today. On the left, we have Mikael Hingant, and it's a Plumeria branch. And then on the right, we have Stephen Boehme, which features Figural Marini with the PCA 2025 pictorial cane in the center there. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Stephen, who is the first artist on our docket today, and he's going to talk a little bit about his paperweight, how he got involved with paperweights, how he got involved, how he got started as an artist, and a little bit about him.
Cool. To get started on this paperweight, um, we've been making fish marini and flower marini for about 3 months. Eric told me we're making a paperweight, and I didn't quite understand what he meant. And so I had this idea for the glass to look like porcelain, Japanese pottery, little hand painted cobalt flowers, and then I wanted to have the orange koi fish kind of just pop out. And basically, we've been making koi fish. The koi fish on the weight may not be the ones that are on this one because I don't know if I like them. I've made 3 more since then. But with Marini, I've been addicted to Marini for probably about 15 years now, or a little longer maybe. And I think it was, I started, I'll just start over. I've been teaching high schools for the last 25 years. And last year I retired and became a full-time glass artist. Along with teaching high school, I've been involved I first started glass at Sundance Ski Resort, where I was artist in residence there, and I teach pottery and silversmithing classes. And I did a lot of, we made our own, all the glass we used was recycled glass and from the bar and the restaurant. And we would, this what we'd, just like it'd be clear glass day or brown bottle glass day. And we would just make, wine glasses and cups from the recycled glass at Sundance. And Sundance, I got a love of glass. In 2007, I left Sundance and I left glass. I didn't understand about Marini back then. And then it was about 2011. I was at an arts festival. I'm also a full-time potter at that time. And at the art festival, I met a glass artist named Jody McDougall, and she had the Marini in her artwork. She had mostly beads at that time. I'm like, how do you get the little picture in the bead? She had a Clint. It wasn't Clint Eastwood. It was no, I can't think. Was it when a cowboy actor John Wayne with Lauren Stump? She had there. I'm like, how do you get him on there? And I talked her into $150 bead class for me and my son, and basically conned her to teach me how to make a Marini at that class. And I bought a torch. I think it was $150 Nortel Minor, and I used 104 COE glass, and basically became addicted. And I just kept getting bigger and bigger torches. I learned about borosilicate glass. But I think back in 2007 when I was at Sundance, if I knew about Marini, I never would have quit. Marini is painting and sculpting glass at 2,300 degrees if you're an Aboro artist, and 1,500 degrees if you're a soft glass artist. What I do basically is I will paint my pictures. If you look at then the slides, they got the fish head. You start with the eye, and then work your way out. And you add this. You're in the flame, and you just stripe glass, build up layer by layer, and you really can't tell what you're doing because the glass is facing away from you if you're holding your punty. So you got to just keep turning it around, see where you are. And you have to have really good depth perception to work this way. It's a Francini method, directly in the flame. A lot of other Marini is made with bundling up cane or in stringers. Some people make Marini so fine, they bundle up Marini with just fine hair size stringers to build their picture. I haven't been able to do that. I like to be in the flame and I like to paint. It's more spontaneous. But to make a paperweight, we have to make cane, and like the fish, it takes me about a day to make a fish. And through this process lately, I've learned how to keep. This is like one of the happiest things that happened to me this year. I learned how to make the koi fish scales rounded on the koi fish. They've always been diamonds before, so I got a couple more fish. You guys will see. I don't have slides of them here, but that was just making the koi fish scales around and pulling that off. It was kind of fun. I think we made 6 or 7 flowers. Probably not going to use in the weight. When I make Marini, I try to have a lot to choose from, and then I just build a big pile on my desk like you see here, and then I like to work spontaneously. And none of the paperweights will be the same. They'll all be a little bit different. They'll have the same Marini, but they'll be always different pattern.
And Steve, so the koi fish, it appears it's built up in separate sections. Could you talk a little bit, or could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll build up the head. Like, it starts out in the middle of everything. So I build the head to get till it gets about probably about an inch by 2 inches is about as big, and then I'll pull that down. So I'll have two shots at the Marini. So I usually, if you mess the first one up, you have another go if you pull it down. So the head and the body are pulled down, and so hundreds of little diamond shaped canes are pulled up for that little redfish right there, and then they're smushed together and shaped. Pull the body. Each of the fins in the koi fish are a different cane. So there's one, two, three, four, five different canes that made up that whole koi fish. Um, and then when I put it together, I'll put them together and put all the head on the fish, and I could pull that down. And then a Marini is either cut with a diamond saw, or I nip little nips with my clippers to build them up. Then they go in, and I'll just, when I'm building the paperweight, I start out and I'll get a punty and I'll weld start out with the PCA weight in the middle. Um, I have a little stump sucker. I'll put the dichro in there, a sheet of dichro, and then I'll weld up my little insert for the thing, and he'll go into the flask, and then we'll build up a bunch of clear and then pop down in. And then after we put the clear on the inside for the lens, then I'll do the blow a bubble to go on the outside of the Marini of cane, and then I'll put the outside Marini on with a vacuum sleeve, which is like blowing a giant bubble, going over the top, and then use a vacuum to suck all the Marini down to the marble. Put a layer on the inside and layer on the outside. I used to just do the outside layer, and then I realized I was missing out on all the optics and that you can achieve by putting the Marini on the inside of the marble. Marbles first, and worked in boro, and I have not switched back to soft glass. It's super gooey, but I'm going to be making some glass with Boehme Mikael coming up here in March, and we're going to go play with some soft glass in Tennessee. So it'd be fun to see what happens.
That's great. Thanks so much, Stephen. Really appreciate that. Um, for those of you who may not have seen, I have that quick video of you. This is basically a paperweight setup, using a like a vacuum system. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's just the stump sucker. You have to get the coins. In case of boro, they have to be glowing bright red, almost on the point of melting. We do that with the hand torch, and then you have to get your glass so hot. Before I put the gather into the mold, I have it hit with one torch in the middle and another hand torch on the side, and I get that glass barely hanging on the rod before it goes in the mold. You can get about a half an inch, um, 3/4 of an inch, in encasements. Again, I'm getting a little braver, so but it's been fun to see how big of an encasement I could do.
Got it. Here's that video really quick.
Yeah, and then I have my apprentice with a hand torch. They'll heat up the coins so they're glowing bright red. Then I'll take a gather that we have condensed a big rod of borosilicate glass, then a little 2 inch, they're 2 inch by 3 inch balls of glass. Get them super hot, and then they'll plunge right down in there. And the vacuum in the bottom will suck all the air out. Boro is a lot stiffer than soft glass, and it's super hard. It's way annoying. As I was working all week trying to get bubbles out of things, and sometimes you have to really, really you got to get them so hot, and I don't have a long pole to keep the heat off you, so you got a 3 inch gather right in the torch. It gets a little warm when you're building those.
Or then I see that the paperweight is decorated kind of all around the outside with additional Marini. Um, is that then covered again with a layer of clear, or what exactly, how exactly does that work?
So I get the gather, and then I'll put that on a punty. I'll build a little cone on the back of the marble and clear glass, and then I'll blow a bubble in it's a line work tubing, and I'll blow a cap and stuff and puff basically. But then I'll put the background color on the back of the marble, round that back out, and then I'll add a layer of Marini to the outside. And these Marini will be attached with a clear glass sleeve. So you blow another huge bubble that goes over top of that one, and then vacuum that all the air out as if you melt it in, and it encases all the Marini. And then you have to shape it into a ball again. I was used to making round marbles for so long. It's kind of interesting to try to figure out how to get the flat bottom for a paperweight. And I'm not a really big fan of cold working. So I have a giant, it's a 5-inch steel ball bearing that I've been setting the marbles down on. And that gives the illusion of a ground glass bottom. But these will just be smooth bottoms. I'll be lamp worked off, and I burned off the punting mark and smooth it out.
Very cool. Excellent. Thank you so much, Stephen. Beautiful paperweight. Porcelain Reflection is the title. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Up next, we have Mikael Hingant, who will discuss his paperweight called the Pink Plumeria branch. And let's hand it over to Stephen. Let's hand it over to Mikael to learn a little bit about him and his art and his paperweight.
Hi, thank you so much. Yes, I can talk about this weight. This is a variety of flower we have in my garden. I love this plant, this flower, because it smells so good, and it's very beautiful. It smells like vanilla, sugar, and almond. So it's very great to smell this flower, and it's very beautiful. She make flower all the years, and I have one of this in my garden. So I decided to make this branch for this paperweight. On this piece, I use traditional paperweight work in soft glass. I'm really impressed by the Stephen work in borosilicate, because I know borosilicate is very hard glass. So when I see his work, I'm very surprising. And mine work is in soft glass. So I made all the details in lamp work, and after that I encase the paperweight, the details of paperweight in the vacuum mold. That's the same techniques. And after that, I work with my blowpipe and the glow reel to make the shape. And I work to be a very great smooth surface with my torch, and I love to work on these techniques. I start to work in glass factory like Saint-Louis, and I work on the usual utilitarian glass. So I just make the glass, wine or goblet. So one day I decided to ask my chief if it's possible to work on the paperweight department, because I saw this place, and every day when I finish to work, I go to the department paperweight just to see and to look the paperweight makers, just to play with color, with murine, with filigrane and different techniques, and makes a very long time just to make one piece. I'm very impressed by these techniques. So I decided to come in this department to start to work glass with make murine. So I am specialized in filigrane details and murine details, just for the glass maker paperweight use my details. And after 5 or 6 years, I decided to leave to work by myself, just for me. So I start to make standard glass blowing for to start the activity, and in the same times when I learn glass in school, I always learn lamp working by myself in my studio, in my garage, for my free time, the weekend or in a holiday. And I always keep this technique aside, and I decide to restart again in my home studio to melt different techniques like lamp working techniques, glass blowing techniques, and work some with my torch to blow some borosilicate glass too, to make just a goblet or a vase or different very uh, how do you say in English? Uh, uh, this techniques is great to make thin details from very thin glass, and I love that because when I blow glass with my kiln, I just make for very strong big glass, very thick. So I decided to stay in the torch technique to make thin glass, and after that, I decided to return to the Paperweight because I always want to make Paperweight by myself. So I need to learn all the techniques because I just make details in factory, and I never made Paperweight, finished Paperweight. So I decided to start to try to learn. I asked a lot of Richard Lossel, helped me a lot for to assimilate different techniques to play with my hand, with very clear glass, how to make flowers to encase in glass. And after that, I decided to make my own piece like that. And I start with a simple flower. And after 7 years now, I make a great bouquet with a lot of details. And I'm happy because we are not the same style of Saint-Louis and Richard. We have my own style. And it's great to be differentiated by different glass maker like that. And I'm very happy to show you my work today. Thank you very much. I'm very glad and proud to show you my work and to imagine this Paperweight for you today. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mikael. We're proud to have you as an artist member. Your work has really grown so much over the years. It's amazing to watch you grow as an artist. And
Thank you.
congratulations, definitely. Um, Mikael prepared a short video on the making of this paperweight. Let me go ahead and get that shared for you.
Okay, normally not the music sound, but
Yeah.
not a problem. I can talk, yes, to explain. This is a variety of frangipani. Yes, this one pink, red, or yellow. You can see the details, and I show you how I can work. So a very small flame. I make bicolor rod, pink and white, covered by clear glass. So you can see all the tape to make flower, small flower. So I put each petal on the clear glass just to maintain the shape. So I always clean the bottom to be sure that all the petal was weld. So I turn a little bit each petals to have a natural shape and add the small branch. So I repeat this step 4 or 5 times. In this piece, I remember that make 4 flowers and 4 birds. Okay. This is the leaf, yeah. So for the first step to make leaf, I make a road, a twist by the right, with the little red stringer to make small detail in leaf. And the second part turn to the right or the left, I forget. For separate to make the middle of the leaves, I put a little red stringer and add the second part of the twist rod. After, I sculpt the leaf, and repeat this 3 times for this piece. This is how I made the bud, the small bud. This rod I have 3 or 4 millimeters diameters, so really thin part. It's important to make very, very thin details to have a good perspective and a good depth in the piece. And to start the branch, I add the PCA marine just in the back of the road. I covered by clear to keep the glass to not melt or have a different problem. I sculpt the shape of the branch. This tree have a particularity that a big branch and very thin parts. And then so I add a little green clear to make this part, and after I just curve a little. And now we can see the base, the metal mold with tiny hole to go in the vacuum system. And I weld all the parts one by one. So I have a predetermination of the shape in my head. So I make a draw in the first to be sure that each part at the good place. And I add each part one by one to obtain the branch. This is very traditional techniques for glass. And now you see the piece finish when the flower encased in the glass, and the color of pink flower. Yes. This is the marine I put on the branch.
Great, thank you so much, Mikael. It's a beautiful paperweight. And for the effort of making that video, even though we had some technical problems there getting it up for you guys. It's a beautiful paperweight. I love the colors. For me, every time I watch an artist work, I learn something new, and I was blown away at the process and the technique that you're using to make these leaves. To me, that was a revelation. I thought it was fascinating. We focus on the flowers a lot of times when we're looking at these paperweights, but it's funny to me to think that the leaves actually took more effort than the flowers in this case. At that, I'd like to turn it over and turn it over to you guys for a Q&A, and you can ask questions to each one of these artists. Again, thank you, Mikael. Thank you, Stephen, for being available. Let's see what kind of questions we had come through during the presentation. Looks like the first question may be for Mikael. So the koi and the setup looks amazing. Does Stephen need to make each fish in each setup individually?
No. I pull my marini down. I pull them in so I can get a whole bunch of different sizes of koi fish. Then we'll slice each fish gets sliced and polished. And after they start out, they're polished. I do 100 grit, 200 grit, and 600 grit. And once you're polished up to 600 grit, they're easily encasable. And I usually have a whole desk full of marini. I can just pick them up and I weld the flowers together and then put them in the stump sucker. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, I think so. So the marini can be used kind of like later on in other weights or in other, compositions, so to say. This looks like maybe for both of you. Let's start with Kyle. How long does it take to make one paperweight?
For all my weights, sometimes I make 2 weeks or 3 weeks just to make all the details, and I take 4 hours or 5 hours just to make the shape, to take all the details, and to finish the paperweight. After that, I have 2 or 3 hours to grinding, polishing the bottom, so I can make 2 or 3 normal paperweights per mouse. So for this one, I make not too much details, just small branch, and take more time, less time for this piece. So I think I can make 3 or 4 pieces a week, probably. So because it's small, a little bit smaller than the other plate I made. I always made big paperweights. So this one is 7 centimeter. The frangipani paperweight was 7 centimeter, but normally I make 9 centimeter paperweight, more biggest than one. I have one of this 9 centimeter paperweight with a lot of details. I take more long time to do that, to be sure all the flower, the great shape, the great color. I made 4, 5, 6 flowers to select just 3 good shapes, good colors. Don't choose the other. And I repeat for each flower these techniques. And when I put bird inside, I have one with bird. It's another paperweight that I made a lot. We can add 1 day more just to make the bird, to be sure to have the great bird. The most difficult part is to make just the 2 wings same. It's not very easy to make 2 wings same shape, the same size. So I have to make 4, 5, 6 pieces to just have 1 braid. So it's very, very long. It's not work when you count the time. This is just work when you want results. So you can pass a long time, but the most important is to have a great result. So that's very different than glass blowing, that you have to need to be very, very productive. No, it's completely different when I make paperweights, and it's what I love when I make paperweights. I can stay focused and concentrate by one piece for many weeks just to have the great form, the great shape, the great size, the great color. So that's very, very different work.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Miguel. Same question to Stephen. Curious, because you guys, both the techniques are so different. Even the glass is very different. Borosilicate and soft glass, have different limitations. Stephen, in a work like this, how long does it take you to make a paperweight like this?
For Boro artists, it's a little different. Our clear doesn't come in a big pot. They're long rods, and you condense the clear down to make your ball. It has to be really clean. And I end up the most time consuming thing about making a paperweight for me is I peel all the outside layer off my gathers, and that could be like an hour sometimes. But from start to finish, probably 3, 4 hours to make one paperweight. But the Marini, we've been making koi fish and flowers for 3 or 4 months, and it could make when you're painting Marini, it's like you never know exactly what's going to happen while you're painting. So if you make a mistake or the koi fish turns out super ugly, you're like, I'm back on the drawing board again. It takes about a day and a half to make a koi fish and the flowers, all the petals to get them all gathered back up. It takes about 2 or 3 months to get enough Marini to make a nice paperweight. And then you make 3 or 4 paperweights and you're out of Marini again. You just start back over.
Got it. That, and so, the Paul Stinker used to say, it takes basically, the paperweight takes, 2 weeks to make plus 20 years. So it's like
Yeah.
all the experience that goes behind it, Thank you guys. Thank you both. We have a question here from Marge. We'll go to Stephen first on this one. It looks like it's probably meant for Stephen, but it might be interesting to get takes from both of you guys. Is how can you have bubbles coming from a fish's mouth and eliminate all the others? Is that possible?
You can trap bubbles inside things. You just leave little hollows when you have to do probably 2 gathers of clear. I try not to have any bubbles. That's my goal. So to actually put more bubbles in there, I don't know if I could do it. But a lot of times they'll do bubble traps, but you have to leave a little place for the air, poke a hole, and then when you go to fill the hole, you just leave a little air trapped in the hole, and then when you put the lens on, the bubbles look like they're big. But yeah, you can do that, but I probably won't because I hate bubbles in my work. If you see bubbles in my work, it's drove me nuts. And I must have really liked that marble because usually if I have bubbles, they go right in the water.
And get shattered in the water, right?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Mikael, same question for you. If you had to make a fish that had bubbles coming from its mouth, but eliminate
Yeah,
all the other bubbles, is that possible?
yeah, the same feeling of Stephen. It's not. It's the first most important. It's the preparation of your glass. So for very clear glass, very clean glass, clean studio, no dust, no iron, no a very clean tool. And after you have a good preparation on each flower for to be covered by a thin layer of clear to be protect the color and to separate each the piece. And when you uncase it, you need to have the very hot glass and not too very hot details for to keep the shape, to not melt a lot of all of the details, but you have to keep concentrate details. So when you uncase the details, you have to return in the glory hole and you eat slowly, slowly, and with your with a palette. I don't know in English, but this tool. You have to centrifuge slowly and turn to chase the hair by the top, and after you have to list to sorry, peut-être tu peux m'aider. Comment on dit pour lisser, chasser l'air en chauffant régulièrement et en lissant dessus.
You have to chase the bubble out of the paperweight, I think, bringing it up all the way up. Is that what you mean?
Yes, yes. Et j'ai besoin de vraiment y aller doucement, progressivement pour chauffer par le centre. Pour que la chaleur arrive au milieu.
And you have to heat it up from the center slowly to be able to do that.
Thank you.
Merci, Mikael. Merci. Thank you for chiming in, Gosari. This next question is for Mikael. First of all, comment the Marini rod, the PCA Marini rod at the end of the stem is a really nice touch. It's like having capillaries that are feeding the flower. It's like the essence of the flower being fed through the stem, giving color and life. Is this something that you've done before in a weight?
Sorry, tu peux m'aider?
Have you ever
Ah,
put a Marini at the end of the stem like that before?
tu sais, tu as mis le Morini PCA.
Ouais, 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 ouais.
Est-ce que c'est quelque chose que tu as fait avant ou tu as juste pu faire pour ce papier?
Okay, it's the first time I do that. When I see the shape of the details, I don't know where I put the marine. I don't want to just put the marine on the side of the piece. I want to change, and I see this part of branch we have no details, so I decide to put here and to protect with a little drop of clear, and I think it's not bad idea, but the end. At the end.
Thank you. This next question is from Rick. And I think it would be good to hear from both of you guys. Do the lampwork pieces need to be a specific temperature when you encase them? And then also, do the Marini or the flower pieces need to be annealed before using them? So I guess first portion is, does the framework that you build, does that need to be annealed before you encase it? And then does it need to be a specific temperature? Like, do you bring it up to a specific temperature when you encase it?
Yes, I can answer for mine. I need to annealing each part. When I make one flower, I annealing the flower. When I finish all my flower, I make the details, the branch. And after, when the branch is finished, go to the annealer for 540, yes, 540 degrees Celsius for soft glass, to be sure that the stabilize the glass. And after that, I reheat in the kiln. The vacuum mold was take place in the kiln at the same temperature at 540 degree, 540 degree, ready to encase.
Perfect. Same question for you, Stephen. The Marini, do you need to anneal it first? And then does it need to be a specific temperature when it's ready to be encased?
Yeah, all the Marini cane is annealed. I don't anneal for a long time. Boral glass seems to not like to be in the kiln very long. So all my canes are annealed for 25 minutes, and then I'll crash them. And then they won't, then when I use them, I cut them into the slices, and they're polished up to 600 grit polish. After 600 grit, I put them in the mold, and when I'm in the mold, we have a hand torch that'll come around, and my apprentice will heat the Marini up in the mold until they glow bright. Everything in the mold is glowing. The dichrome is glowing, the mold is glowing, everything's probably about 1600 degrees. And then the gather I put in there, it has to be just beyond hot and just falling off the rod. When you hit that, vacuum's already going. And if the coins weren't hot, the glass boral will stop. You got 2 seconds to work with it when you're putting in the vacuum mold. It's 2 seconds. So bam, bam, and it's over. And if it wasn't hot enough, your encasement isn't encased, bubbles are in the back of your Marini, and it's just terrible. And you have to pick them all out one at a time, and it adds another hour to the process.
Interesting.
I don't know if that helps.
No,
That's the funny part.
Let's see here. A few more questions. So Mikael also makes these fabulous plaque paperweights, and this question relates to those. Mikael, are the same techniques used to make a paperweight plaque and a traditional round paperweight?
When I make my first plate, I try to use the same techniques, but I see that's not possible to use this technique because we have too much bubble inside, and it's not very beautiful. So I decided to find another techniques who chase all the bubble and very, very clean. So let me see if I, yes, I have one part of glass here with a bit dust. So I have a mold. So I prepare my details with my torch, like Paperweights techniques, like the same. So I make all the detail, but the difference, I didn't make a big dip. Very thin details, very thin flower, very plate, to be sure that the bubble and the hair was chased by the bottom. I put in a kiln, in a mold, and after I put this plaque on it. So I prepare all the glass like that. So to grind and polish all my plaques, I put on the mold and jump the kiln at 800 degrees to the glass clear, melt directly on the flower. I leave that in the kiln 45 minutes to be sure that all the bubble and the hair chased by the bottoms. And after 8 or 10 hours, I can keep the plaque. Yeah. But here I can out of kiln with in the glass by the side, but it's completely flat. You have no hair. So after that, I can play with another plaque to add color in the ground, to encase powder of color glass, and after put the second part on the top and return to the kiln to 800 degrees. And after that, we have a big plate with all my details in two parts of glass, similarly like Paperweights, but it's fusing technique. The great term is the great word is fusing technique. And after that, I grind and polish all the parts. If it's difficult, I send the piece in France, and I work with a cold worker who made that for me. So sometimes if it's not too thick, I made by myself with my machine. But to be sure, I have a great result. I send sometimes I send in France for a cold worker who grind and polish for me with the biggest machine.
Thank you, Mikael. So this one's for Mikael, but specifically, I think both of you would be good to answer this as well. The question is, while I like paperweights, I also like other forms of glass. My question is will Mikael make any more pendants? And does he like to make other forms such as pendants or vases?
I made some pendants with the same mold than Steven, the stump mold, sucker punch stump mold in graphite. And I love to play with small milfiori, murine, and small flower in the center to make different pendants, round pendants. But it's interesting to change the shape or make difference. Sometimes I just made one flower in the three-dimensional shape in the big clear drop of glass, like that. Just one flower or two small buds, but it's a long time that I didn't make it, so it's a great time to do it again.
Perfect, thank you. Steven, do you do other forms of glass? I know
I've been having a lot of fun with knives lately and putting the handles. I don't know if you can see it very well in the little window, but I've been
hold it up a little
blowing
more.
out. What's that? Up?
Hold it up. Yeah, there you go.
So I blow the glass Marini. Everything starts out on a bubble. Put the Marini on the bubbles, blow them out. I'll cut the bubble up and flatten it, and then we'll grind the the knife skills out of the blown glass handle. And I've been making a lot of jars. I see that one, the trash panda with the hot dog. We do well in jars, and me and my son get together and we make pipes. I don't know. When we started out with Boehme, I really liked that. It's very, it doesn't shock as much as the soft glass does, and you can make it into different, I don't know, this is crazy what Boehme glass will do. You can blow it out and get it hot, get it cold. It doesn't shock. When I make in soft glass Marini, stuff would explode all the time. Boehme, it just will crack. You can pick it off the floor and put it back together. Soft glass, just blow up. Man, I've really enjoyed Boehme silica glass.
In the limits. Next question is for both of you. Start with you, Stephen. With the vacuum device, how much control do you have over what happens in this process?
When you're doing Boehme, you have 2 seconds. Within 3 seconds, that glass has become so stiff that you can't move it. So everything has to happen instantly with the little vacuum kiln. So I have my stump sucker has a vacuum pump from Harbor Freight, and I have a foot pedal. And when I'm working alone, this is really fun. So I got my clear in one hand, my hand torch heating up the stump sucker, and then I have the foot pedal to hit the glass and then dump the clear into the stump sucker once it gets hot enough. So it's got to be hot, and you got to be hot and fast, and the vacuum has to be going. If you forget to put the vacuum on, all the bubbles are left. Well, it's kind of fun.
Just give an idea. I mean, do you know like the different temperatures at which the soft glass versus the Boehme gets viscous? Like, do you know?
Boehme doesn't get really hot, about 2200 degrees, and it doesn't stay fluid. It starts to become rubbery like almost instant. It never really truly melts like soft glass. Soft glass will melt and flow. Boehme is more like a rubber. When it's hot, it's like a rubber ball. It'll throw it on the floor, it'll bounce. This never melts. I hate that about it, actually.
Just to back up really quick before we get to Mikael, going back to your knives, do you actually do the metalwork in those knives as well?
Pocket knives, no, I haven't made a pocket knife yet, but my fixed blade knives, I've been forging for about 2 or 3 years now, and I'm getting better at it. Yeah, so yes, on the fixed blade knives, no on the pocket knives, not yet anyway. Soon.
Very cool. And I think that you can go to if you guys have time, you can visit his Instagram, and he has some photos of some of the cool blades that he's been working with, mixing copper, Damascus, all kinds of. I'm not really familiar with the languages, but a lot of really cool metal work.
I don't know if you can see him very well. This is Marine Tiger Marini Scales, and this is a 100-layer Damascus with copper, bronze, and nickel mocha megani on the blade. You can see the different sides. And this is one that me and my buddy Red Stag Forge, Abram Perry, we get together once a month and forge.
Very cool, very cool. Thank you. Back to Mikael. Same question regarding the vacuum device system. When using that tool, how much control do you have over what happens during that process?
Oh, tu peux juste me traduire ce qu'il a dit pour que je sois bien sûr que j'ai bien compris?
Il demande comment tu utilises la machine à vacuum aspirateur pour éliminer l'air.
Oh, okay. So my mold is in the kiln, a annealing kiln at 540 degrees, and put the details in the ground, and directly branch with a valve motor, and I have a foot pedal to enclench to take on the vacuum system. And for that, I just heat my glass in the glory hole at very liquid temperature, and just let cold the drop in the mold. And I have to stay not long because the mold was hot, and it's possible I stick in the mold, so I have to be very quick. But I have time when my glass is hot. I have a lot of time to go to my kiln, open the doors, and push the pedal. So that's very different than Stephen. I know borosilicate. I know that you have 2 or 3 seconds just to take the details with borosilicate, but the advantage with glass, it's more not easiest, but it's better to encase your glass, and just stay a few seconds in the mold and return to the glory hole after that.
Thank you, Mikael. Really quick, the vacuum tool, the vacuum device, is kind of like a very important tool for paperweight making. Are these tools, I don't know, are these things that you can buy, at supply companies, or like where, if you're an artist and you want to kind of like get started in these, in this kind of activity or this technique, where can you
My
get parts?
So my vacuum system I made by myself with an old motor in concentrator oxygen. I keep the motor, valve motor, to branch upside to change the side of the. I take the vacuum side and let the blower side in the part apart, and I made it by myself. I bought my mold in Italy, made sur mesure just for me. I send a draw, a plan with dimension, with diameters to the metal worker made for me, just sur mesure. And I think all the glass brewer made by himself his system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we have a shop or a company that sell it. I know Soccer Punch that you bought in the internet, but the big system for big paperweight, I think everybody build himself the system.
Got it. Really quick, couple more technical things for the artist out there who may be watching. What clear do you use, and then what color do you use? Mikael.
Yes, I use Australian clear Liba, crystal clear glass, bought in Austria. And for color, I use German color, like Kugler or Reichenbach color. I have a little lovely preference for Reichenbach color. For my plate, like that, I use Asian clear crystal glass because I can both different shape in this factory, and Australian sell only this shape of glass, a square bar at 1 meter square bar. So, but very clear and soft, very perfect glass for paperweight. I never use shot glass, but I think it's probably the same.
Got it. Thank you. Stephen, regarding the vacuum system, did you also have to build your own, or is this something that you can find out there in the market?
ABR Imagery has a 1-inch and a 2-inch, I believe, that you could buy.
Okay.
My vacuum system came from Harbor Freight, and I hooked into it. And I had a 3-inch stump sucker built by I can't remember the name of this. He's a machinist who makes Boro stuff, and it was inexpensive. Boro artists can use graphite because the bad graphite dust will burn away at the high Boro temperatures, and where a soft glass would have to be, you'd have to be like an iron or steel or a bronze mold to get them in there. But the graphite ones have been working fine for me, and I've used the same one forever. Clear, Cymax Clear is the best boral clear to get. The Shot or Cymax, okay, but Cymax is way good. And colors from North Star glass is most of the color I use. A lot of Glass Alchemy, and Molten Norris made some color now. It's gorgeous. The Electrum and some of their gold-based colors I love them so much.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Do either one of you guys copyright the devices that you have created? I guess these vacuum devices, not too clear. I think it's just common knowledge. I mean, I don't know if it's something that's ever been copyrighted. I don't know if either one of you can speak to that or not.
I have no idea if the Stump Sucker is copyrighted or not, but I think it's too simple as a device to copyright.
Right. Probably too few people really want to do it too, or use it too. Last question here from Mikael, unless anybody wants to get any other questions in. Mikael, coming from St. Louis factory, are there any paperweights or any other work that we might recognize or that you could point to that's something that you worked on while working there?
Gulsari, please help me.
Oui, est-ce qu'il y a des presse-papiers que tu as fait à Saint-Louis que on peut reconnaître aujourd'hui que tu as fait?
Good question. I don't remember the name of Paperweight, but I never made Paperweight in Saint-Louis. I just made details, Marini and filigrane. But I work in 2000 by 2006. So if you have a Paperweight in this collection years, it probably made by me. All the marine or details made by me inside. But I don't remember the name of the Paperweight. We made a lot and change every month, so I don't remember the collection.
Got it. Thank you. Is there any other questions for any of our panelists here today? Did we cover everybody? Any other eyes and ears out there? Am I missing anything? All right. Well, with that, I do want to thank you all again for making time out of your day to come and visit with us and get to know a little bit more about Mikael and Stephen and the work that they do, and get to see these beautiful weights that they made for the 2025 year. Paperweights are available now for order online. If you follow this QR code, you'll be taken directly to our website with an order form for each one of those weights. If you're new to us and if you found this enjoyable and worthwhile, please also follow the QR code. There's a space there to sign up for our mailing list. Maybe you're not ready to be a member, but you still want to be in the loop. This is a good way to kind of get started and get to learn a little bit more about paperweights. Thank you again to our panelists. Thank you to our artists. Thank you to all the volunteers that made this possible. And we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
See you guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you so much.